The body in the locked room in Happy Valley. The flat in Happy Valley was a picture of tranquility, perched high above the bustling streets of Hong Kong. But on this particular morning, the peace was shattered by a piercing scream. Betsy Wong, a petite woman with a face etched with worry, had just discovered her husband, Alex Wong, lying lifeless on the bedroom floor. Betsy had left the flat early to go to the wet market to purchase provisions and have a quick breakfast before leaving for work. Alex, who had been out late the night before, was still sound asleep when she had checked on him before she left. Or so she later claimed. When she returned to the flat to deposit her groceries and change for work, she had called out to wake Alex, but there was no reply. The bedroom door was locked when she tried it. This was strange. With the help of the maid, Betsy had forced the door open, only to find Alex's body motionless on the floor. The room was locked from the inside, the key still in the lock, and the windows appeared bolted shut. It was a mystery that would baffle even the most seasoned detective. But the case would be handled by someone who was not just a seasoned detective. He had made a reputation for himself in the Hong Kong police's homicide squad, and for good reason. Not much escaped this man's keen eye for detail and an ability to solve even the most perplexing cases. He was Inspector James Liang. Alex Wong had been a successful businessman, known for his charm and sharp mind. But behind closed doors, his life was a tangled web of secrets. Betsy, his wife of 10 years, had grown increasingly suspicious of his late-night meetings and sudden business trips. Then there was Mabel, his young and beautiful girlfriend, who had been seen with him at many social events, her laughter echoing through the room like a melody. She was what one might call the belle of the ball. The police arrived swiftly, led by James Liang. He surveyed the scene, noting the absence of any signs of a struggle. Alex lay on the floor, a single stab mark on his chest. The murder weapon was nowhere to be found. The room was immaculate, save for a small, crumpled piece of paper clutched tightly in Alex's hand. Inspector Liang carefully unfolded the paper. It was a note, written in Alex's handwriting. "I can't go on like this. The guilt is too much. Forgive me." At first glance, it appeared to be a suicide note. But Inspector Liang was not convinced. Why would a man who had everything, wealth, a beautiful wife, a growing family and a beautiful and vivacious girlfriend, choose to end his life? Also, there was the burning question, how, in heaven's name, could he have closed and locked the door from the inside after stabbing himself? Betsy, the wife, was the first to be questioned so that Liang could check her story and hopefully eliminate her as a suspect. She was distraught, her hands trembling as she spoke. "I loved Alex, despite everything. But he had become a different man these past few months. Distant and secretive. I was sure he was having an affair, but I never imagined it would come to this." Mabel was located and brought in for questioning. Unlike Betsy, she was calm and composed, her beauty undiminished by the tragedy. "Alex and I were in love," she admitted. "But he was a complicated man. He told me he was going to leave Betsy, but he still hadn't done so. I think he was torn between us." Mabel then proceeded to talk at length about what Alex had told her about Betsy's jealous nature and the many arguments they had had in recent days, obviously trying to implicate Betsy and point the suspicion towards her. She also insinuated because Alex had been dragging his feet about leaving Betsy, she had begun to cool her feelings towards him and had started seeing more of another of her admirers. Inspector Liang listened carefully, his mind racing. He didn't really believe Mabel's rather long and contrived alibi and felt she was trying to throw him off her scent. He revisited the crime scene, examining every inch of the room. It was then that he noticed something peculiar, a faint smudge on the windowsill. It was almost imperceptible. He opened the window and looked out. The flat was on the 3rd floor, but there was a narrow ledge that ran along the side of the building, leading to a fire escape. Suddenly, the pieces began to fall into place. Inspector Liang returned to the living room, where Betsy and Mabel sat in tense silence, trying their very best to avoid each other. Each was suspicious of the other and the air was thick with animosity. "Ladies," he began, "I believe I have solved the mystery. Alex Wong did not commit suicide. He was murdered. And the killer is here among us." Both women gasped, their eyes wide with shock. The note was a red herring, designed to throw us off the trail. But the killer made one crucial mistake: they left a smudge on the windowsill. You see, the room was not locked from the inside. The killer entered through the window, using the ledge and the fire escape. After committing the crime, they locked the door from the inside and exited the same way they had entered, leaving the key in the lock to make it appear as if the room was sealed. Betsy's face paled. But who would do such a thing? Inspector Liang turned to Mabel. You were the one who had the most to gain. Alex was going to leave Betsy for you, but it was all taking too long. You couldn't wait. You killed him, hoping to inherit his wealth and start a new life. It wasn't love. It was greed. Mabel's composure shattered. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed. I loved him, but I suspected he was never going to leave her because of the children. I couldn't bear the thought of losing him. I didn't mean to kill him, but when he told me he was going back to Betsy, I just snapped. As Mabel was led away, Inspector Liang couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. The locked room in Happy Valley had held its secrets well, but in the end, the truth had prevailed. Yet, the cost of that truth was of one life lost and another forever changed.